Welcome to The Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a show that is a central hub and safe space for authors to share their stories. The Bold Book with Dr. Denise begins now.
Good morning. Welcome to the Bold Book of the Day. Today we have Mr. J Costner in the house, and I can't wait for you guys to hear all about his wonderful book and his story. Welcome, Mr. J. How are you?
I'm doing well, Dr. Denise. Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. I know that your history, your background is an artist and former athlete, and
Yes.
quite diverse. So, how do you believe these experiences have influenced your approach to storytelling and writing?
I think from the artist perspective, it has made me become something that's not traditional. I think that would be the biggest thing that stands out with my story. It's completely unique to anything that anyone has ever read, just because I have to be authentic in how I, convey my message.
Yes.
And if I try to be traditional or follow, traditional guides or whatever, it's not going to be that authentic self. So I try to approach it from the artist's perspective, my artist's perspective,
Yes.
and create the story that we have today.
Beautiful. So, tell us, why was it so important for you to create legacy?
It's actually interesting. So when I was in college, I had a pretty catastrophic injury, you could call. I
Mhm.
had my pelvis reconstructed after my leg disconnected playing basketball.
Mm.
So while I was recovering, which was a 2-year process, I had a reoccurring dream every day for a month, and that dream ended up being the first story. So
Mhm.
as I'm sitting there experiencing this dream every night verbatim, I decided to write it down. And the first iteration of the book came out, in which I published in 2012.
So it was part dream, part mythology, because I noticed that you combined elements of history and fantasy and and I guess a dream-ish mythology.
Sure.
So it was inspired by this dream because you blended a couple of genres together.
Oh my God, I blended so many drama genres together, and I mean, typically people would, from my understanding, for their processes of writing stories, they'll kind of storyboard everything, have an
Mhm.
idea of where they want to go, what kind of story they want to tell. I write primarily just from flow state. I don't storyboard anything. So as I'm writing, I'm experiencing everything for the first time, just
Mhm.
like everyone else.
Yes. Tell me a little bit more about your injury and just the story of how it happened and then how you moved from athlete to the brilliant author.
So I was born apparently with a genetic issue where the head of my femur is a rectangle shape in the ball
Mhm.
socket. So my
Mhm.
hip had been breaking my entire career playing basketball.
Right.
And one day, my senior year, we're third day of official practice, I get hit in the right spot and tear my muscle connecting, my hip and leg together apart, and I feel my hip had been broken now for the
Mm.
first time. So it took a while for the doctors to diagnose it, about 3 months.
Mhm.
And after they finally did, they said it would be a 2-year process for me to play basketball again. This orthopedic surgeon said to me, "Hey, you probably won't be able to ever play again," which to me, I took that, went in one ear, went out the other. Uh,
Mhm.
my entire life had been dedicated to basketball. My father played basketball professionally, so I was born into it. My identity has always been basketball. So
Yes.
all the work that I put in, telling me I wouldn't ever play again was something that I wasn't going to hear.
Mm.
So it was 6 months every day. I had to go to physical therapy, and then it was another 6 months for one day a week, and then an entire year of no activity whatsoever.
Oh my goodness.
And then finally, one day, I was cleared to play. I still had interest, thankfully, a little bit. I got to have some stints with some European teams, and then the last straw came when I was offered a contract to play for the NBA's developmental league, um, and I couldn't accept it. One, because at that time I started working, and the contract I was offered wasn't comparable to what I was making, not
Mm-hmm,
playing.
mm-hmm.
But two, I wasn't healthy. I had started playing, through the injury recovery, and I still wasn't healthy. My ligament connecting my hip to my coccyx wasn't connected, so my pelvis had been floating. So my bones will rub together often.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So were you in a lot of pain? Because it sounds like if you're disjointed, it's going to
Yep,
cause a lot of discomfort.
it is. Yes, I'm actually in pain most of most days.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
my junior year, I broke my neck playing as well, and I had
I'd have been like, boy, you ain't playing nothing. Okay. If I'm your mom, I'm like, you're not doing any more sports. But look at God,
freak accidents, freak
Yes, yeah.
accident. Look at God. He said I had to keep going.
Yes.
I was a full ride scholarship athlete, so it paid for college, luckily.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, the junior year, I displaced my C6 and C7 vertebrae,
Mm-hmm.
extensive nerve damage. So after that, and the hip thing, my entire spine was pretty bad. I actually didn't get healthy until 2022, when I
Mm-hmm.
met two doctors who really fantastic. They worked on me. And at that point, they were like, "Hey, you gonna start playing again?" I'm like, "No, it's
Oh, they were encouraging. That's beautiful.
yeah."
So you're inspiring, man.
Oh,
I can't wait till my grandson hears your message because I'm always telling him you got to be careful. He loves football. He loves sports, and I'm always telling him to be careful. Just you might hurt something, you might break something, but he's into it. So I'm going to share your story with him, and
thank you.
that's inspiring. Just to hear that you made it a successful life despite the challenges and the pain and all that you have to go through. So your life is inspiring. And so is your book.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, yeah, just it's also inspiring how you got this story together, how it came to you. Now, chapter 1 was that dream. How did you continue? Because okay, you have one chapter, you don't have a book. you know, how did you what inspired you to keep going, and where did you get the creative inspiration from for the rest of the book?
Sure. So after I finished writing the first book, I didn't really have any expectations of writing anything else, just because at that point, I took it as an art piece. I took the challenge as an art piece when I decided to commit to it, because it's the longest thing I've ever written. It's the most vulnerable thing I've ever done, which is something that's really, to this day has been a transition for me.
Yes.
Being an artist, I typically would create, and being a creator, I will create, and I don't reflect on anything that I create, just because it's a purging of whatever emotion that I have. And after I wrote the first book, I put it out there thinking, hey, it's just another art piece, bucket list kind of thing. Who can say, not too many people can say that they've written books in their lifetimes.
That's right. Yes. 2% of people, okay?
Exactly.
2%.
Exactly.
Not a big number.
So I put it out there, and I honestly didn't expect anything from it. And the reception that I got after the first book was tremendous. So I feel okay about it, but again, I'm not reflecting on it because it's just another art piece to me at that point. Then I get the sensation of a continuation of the story, and I end up writing books 2 and 3 in 3 months. Yep. So after that, you know what? I'm like, hey, 3
You were
books.
always writing then.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, I don't sleep very much because playing basketball, sleep patterns are ruined. Then you got the pain going on, so I'm kind of just awake, and my mind's constantly going, thinking of different things to create, and I got to have some sort of outlet.
You're super deep though with your creativity. It's the intricate designs of your. So first of all, your book is amazing, but your website that promote this legacy, and I was like, this. I have never seen a website so captivating. Your website looks like I'm in a movie.
Thank you. So I love that you said that, because that's how I've been told the stories read.
Yes, I
I've been
love the book covers. Oh my goodness! Like I want them on my, not just on my shelves. I want them on my living room center table, like
oh,
a
thank you.
conversational piece.
I would love to be able to send you books if if you would be willing to take them.
Listen, when we get off here, I'm gonna give you my address. I
Okay,
want.
great.
They are beautiful. The message is beautiful. I just think it worked together to have something so rich, on your in your space. It's a conversational piece, just the cover. Let me hear. How did you design this cover, or was it someone else?
So I designed it. So all the art that you'll
I could
see
tell.
on
I could tell.
Instagram or the website, I created all that art as well.
What's your Instagram? We got to follow you.
Oh, yep. So my Instagram is at the legacy XII THE legacy XII. So it's actually pretty wonderful, because the books have been received so well. We've crossed the 4,000 follower mark on Instagram. Have over 1 million
awesome.
impressions on the socials, and that's just from the first 2 books. I haven't even put the 3rd book out yet, but there's a growing demand coming. Actually had 300 downloads of book 1 in the last 4 days.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you're doing a tour.
I'm trying to promote. I never promoted the book until 5 months ago.
And it's picking up and doing so well. It's like
taking
off.
It's taking off. It's taking off. Apparently people like it. I don't know. I'm still baffled by it.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. And guess what? We have a love of storytelling, but we love that you intertwined the dream, the mythology, the story of the legend. So tell us one of the main stories, or one of the main message that you want your audience to walk away with, because I know you put a lot of work in there, and we're going to love all the messages, but one thing that we can take away from book number 1.
So from book number 1, I think the biggest message that somebody could take away is perseverance. The ability to be an active participant in life and whatever it has to throw at you. For the story, there's what you may consider protagonists, but really the real protagonist for the story, and for our antagonist, I apologize, for our protagonist, Luke Hart, the real antagonist of the story is humanity, and what life happens to create for him, what it happens to create, essentially make him evolve into.
Yes.
There's a very strong Carl Jung aspect to this, which I hadn't really paid attention to it. It's the idea of, interrogating the shadow, where Luke has to decide and kind of figure out who he's going to become from all these different circumstances, which really drives him down a dark path. And you find yourself rooting for what, had you not known who he is from book 1, would be what's considered a villain.
What inspired you to create Luke's character? Because he's thrust into this world of ancient legacies and modern conflicts. What inspired you?
There's a lot of me, a lot of lived experiences in each character. I was raised in Europe, so I was born in '89. At 6 weeks old, we moved to France for a year, and then Italy for 2, and then Greece for 9. We moved back to the States, and really until 2000. And during that time, I had the privilege of being immersed in all these cultures, living amongst the ruins of ancient Greece, walking down the streets and looking over and seeing the 3,000-year-old village in glass, looking up at the Acropolis and seeing the Parthenon up there, and driving past the Temple of Zeus. All these things I had the privilege of living, being a part of.
Wow.
And that really, I think, helped create an authenticity
Yes.
to the story, to the characters, which is why I think people relate to them so well.
I can see the impact that your upbringing had on all of your creations, not just your literary work, but also the art on the website, on the book cover. I listen, I just visited, I'm glad I had the opportunity. I just visited Europe over this last summer,
Okay.
And so your book reminds me of all of the streets, the visits to the hotels, the visits to the ancient historical places. And just looking at your book, it feels so rich, like I am revisiting these places again. And then, watching or learning a little bit about the story, I got the understanding that your upbringing, because you lived there until you were like 13, 14.
Yeah, just about,
Yeah.
yeah, somewhere around there, 12, 13. Yeah.
Yeah. This series really, I mean, your life, I can see it in your work and in your book as an author. How do you approach character development, considering that you have such a diverse upbringing?
So it's actually interesting. As I'm writing, I have to see what the entire story is prior to putting a word down. Um,
Hmm.
Again, I write everything from flow state, so I'll get an idea and it'll trigger an entire story. And I'll start with a beginning, and I have to know what the end is and how the book ends. So I'll write the first chapter or the beginning of the story and the ending before I put anything in the middle. So
Okay,
as
I
I'm
like
going,
that
yeah. So as I'm going,
because you know where you're going.
exactly. You gotta know where you're going.
Yeah.
You gotta know where you want your destination before you get on the road.
Yes.
So as I'm going and I'm seeing this all play out in my head, um, everything has kind of just flows as its own entity, has its own energy. The characters come, and I see these stories as movies, and that's how I end up writing them because I
Yeah.
can't write them any
Yes.
other way.
Yes. Yes.
And for me, the words that go on the page have to be able to uh, elicit images in your head, in your imagination, and a word on the page just can't be filler. It has to be its own painting.
Yes. Yes.
So
I
you
can
have,
see Luke Hart in a movie.
yeah,
Definitely, definitely. Yes, I can see Luke Hart as the protagonist in Legacy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's there's a lot of me and Luke Hart. Um,
Hmm.
a lot of experiences that I've been through, but really it's all the characters. Um, yeah, they just the movies, the stories play out themselves, and
Yeah.
there's oftentimes as I'm writing, I'm experiencing them firsthand as if I was a reader because I don't know what's going to happen.
Right. You know how it's going to. You know what you want the ending to be, but you don't know what's going to
Yep,
happen to lead up to that.
exactly.
I love it. So I know Legacy celebrates diversity and diverse cultures, and it explores humanity in a universal style. How do you ensure inclusivity, and representation in your storytelling, being that you're a global citizen or a European citizen?
Yeah, yeah. Global citizen, I think, is the
Yeah,
right word for it.
yeah.
Raised in Europe, my family is a strong Caribbean descent. So get all that aspect as
How did
well.
I miss that? Is that
Yeah,
where are your family from?
Barbados.
G's and P's. Okay. Big up Barbados. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I get it. I get it. I
Yep.
get it. And that's how you ensure inclusivity.
Inclusivity. Yeah. So the
Oh my
beautiful thing for me is I was able to write a commercial, in my opinion, story that doesn't use race as a clutch. There's no reason to bring race into it at all. There's no reason to bring sexuality into it at all. There's no weak female characters at all. everybody in this story is a celebration of their culture, of their will to survive.
Yeah.
It just so happens that the storyline follows, a particular protagonist in Luke Hart, but there's nothing in these stories that is derogatory to any culture in a sense.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
all a celebration, so everybody can get behind.
It's a beautiful celebration. Yes. Wow. Your series also talks about history or delves into the concept of history repeating itself.
Yes.
What insights do you have or do you hope for readers to gain from, this exploration? And how do you challenge traditional narratives through your work?
So, I mean, if we look at the world, history, as in the stories, is always repeating itself. It may not show up always as, an identical, recognizable thing, but
Mhm.
really the same energy, the same tactics typically always play out. And you kind of
Mhm.
have to know where you come from to know where you're going.
Yes.
Science fiction is great, and that's a big push right now for space and all that stuff. But there's a reason why stories of history and mythology continue to be successful. Like the Percy Jacksons or the Spartacuses or the 300s. It's because it's these amazing things, these amazing events are what we are derived from. We're
Mhm.
the ancestors or the descendants of these mythological, these legendary, these bigger than life people, right?
Mhm.
And the idea that, even with Marvel and DC and all these things and all these superheroes, being who they are and, fanciful, the real superheroes were regular people who
Mhm.
we are descended of.
Yes.
So why wouldn't we want to know those kind of things?
Yes. Exchanging energy. Yes.
Yes.
Hmm. You're deep. And no, for real. You're deep and I love your diversity and I love that you have brought this book for because you're pretty young. And so I think that you are engaging young readers to look more into themselves, be more introspective from your work. That's what I'm getting to have not just young people be more introspective, but everyone. But because you're young, of course, you're going to be more appealing to that audience. What advice you have for young people nowadays who are trying to make it, but they're afraid of being their unique selves and are afraid of being, creative?
So for me, being that my identity has always been um, being an athlete. Allowing people to hear my voice has not been something that I've been comfortable with, which is why I've never
Mm.
um, promoted the first book. And even all the art that I create, I never had to reflect on anything. And
Mhm.
now that I have, two books out, I'm preparing to release the third book. There's five completed manuscripts. I'm 6,000 words into book 6 and 4,000 into book 7. Um, this is the first time I'm actually having to reflect on my art and my own self, which is causing me to have confidence in myself, causing me to believe in myself because people, are receiving it well, despite the fact that I still have insecurities about, putting the art out there. So my advice would be whenever you're ready to explore and to take a risk with your message, with your voice, people are willing to listen. There's going to be somebody out there who wants to hear your story.
Yes.
And even with all this, like I've been going through a journey of self discovery, even with my family.
Mhm.
We also have a strong indigenous line in my family as
Mhm.
well. And being that my grandfather was black and indigenous, especially, at the time that he was coming up and, through all that stuff, it was illegal to talk about being indigenous. As also it was, difficult to be black in history, in recent history. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of, things that I'm learning about myself that I want to learn about myself because, the culture is beautiful. you know,
Yes.
learning about who I am and what makes me me and why do I look like this. You know, it's all intriguing. And so my advice would be, whenever you're ready, there's no timetable. You know, if you feel it in your heart that you want to explore these things, you know, there's different avenues out there for you and people who want to hear your story.
Good advice. I cannot tell that you know, were afraid of using your voice. You have a big voice. You have such an important message, and you're so eloquent. So I, you know, but a lot of times we find it hard to communicate, and it's one of the most important skills, communication,
Yes.
because I'm gonna get spiritual. So communication is spiritual.
Yes.
And if you want to connect with people and you want to do well in life, learn to communicate well.
Yes.
But
Very much.
you've done that so effective, so well, so eloquently. And so
Thank
to
you.
hear you say that, you know, you had a struggle with that. But a lot of us really do have an issue with hearing ourselves.
Mhm.
And then once you start hearing yourself, you start to judge yourself negatively. Like, oh my
Yes.
goodness. Oh,
Yes.
you sound like this, you sound like that. I did the same thing. And now I have a podcast. But I've learned to be bold with my voice and appreciate my voice and understand the power of my voice, because your voice has power. Your words are important. Your voice will change someone's life for the better if you just keep speaking up and speaking out and just sharing your message. And the people will come, the right person, the right people. If you just keep speaking up, the right people will follow you, because they are hearing that magnetic word, or that magnetic field that is drawing them to you, the thing that is important to them, that matters to them. You're speaking on that, it's what's going to draw them to you. So keep it up. You're doing a great
Thank
job.
you. Thank
I'm
you.
proud
Thank
of
you.
you.
I'm trying. I'm trying my
Yeah,
best.
yeah. And we absolutely need more young men as, you know, diverse role models. You're into sports, you're into art, you're into writing, and that's beautiful. You're into family, because I know you're
Yep.
into family.
Yeah, I'm into business. I'm into so many different things. And you know, just like
Yes.
you said, you know, I didn't have anyone who looked like me to look up to. You know,
Yes.
my entire upbringing, despite, you know, my family, however beautiful they are, you know, being them excellent, their excellent selves, you
Yes.
know, my entire I guess, you know, mentorship or, you know, just role models to look up to were always athletes. And, you know, they're always stalwart or, you know, just boisterous or whatever they need to be in order to, you know, kind of have all that, you know, come out. There's nobody, I don't know anyone who looks like me that writes fiction, you know, especially
Come
about
on.
this genre. And,
Yeah.
you know, the fact that, you know, I am able to do it and people are receiving it well is beautiful for me.
You know, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Because you said so many great things a while ago, but one of the things I wanted to point it out, guys, if you don't have anyone or any representation, anyone that looks like you, and there's something that you feel tugging at you that you want to produce, be the one,
Yes.
be the person.
Very,
So, yeah,
very true.
the onus is on you to be what is missing in the world, especially if you are yearning, you're seeing something that you long for and it doesn't exist. Go ahead and create it, like J Costner.
Yeah, yeah. There's guides. There's guides of, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
foundational things that you can do. But
Yeah.
really, I think the world is always begging for people or things to come along that they haven't experienced before.
Hmm.
So being able to find that, you know, little sliver in the world's, you know, energy that you can slide yourself into and, you know, just have your voice ring out is really, you know, what we all want to see.
Yes. Wow. So tell me, how are you going to, because I know how do you write simultaneously? Because I heard you say you are like 7,000 words into one book, and so 4,000 words into another. You're writing different books at the same time?
Yes, yes. So I compartmentalize. There's a lot of things in my head that have their own individual slots,
I
which
thought I did
allows
a lot.
yeah, I don't know what it is, but they all have their individual slots. There's like 8, 9, 10 things going on in my head at once,
Yes.
which is probably why I don't sleep, which is why I need to find an outlet for everything that I do. Uh,
Yes.
and for let's just talk about book 6 and 7. Book
Yeah.
7 is the end of our protagonist Luke Hart's storyline, and that's
Mm-hmm.
going to come out before book 6. Book 6 actually takes place during a time gap between book 3 and 4 in the storyline's history, but it's a spin-off and kind of the introduction to other things. So there's probably 30 to 40 different avenues of spin-offs and expansion stories that can come from the 7-book series, which
This
is
is
how
a Netflix series. Like, I want to
oh
see
my god.
this on Netflix.
So it's actually, it's funny that you say that, because me and my team are getting ready to shoot a series of short films.
Woo!
For the story.
I'm
Yep.
loving it. Oh my goodness. Yes, you're amazing. You deserve it. And we deserve this too, okay? We deserve the drama and all of the excitement, and just to see it coming from you. It's just, it feels good. It
Oh,
feels, I'm
thank
proud.
you.
I'm
Thank you
honored
so
to
much.
hear that.
That makes me feel great. Thank you so much.
Where are you going to be for the book tour, so that, or where can audience, people that are listening to you, we're all like, oh wow, this guy's amazing. How can we stay in connection with you, and where can we find your book?
So you can find the book on Amazon, Kindle, Barnes and Noble. It's online. Um, I've made it available to everywhere books are sold. Um, Having been through the process with my first book and being business savvy, I was able to create an entire brand around this. So just having the ability to expand and to be reachable. I'm available. You can contact me via Instagram, where a lot of people talk to me. There's a team that I have working with me, so you may not always be talking to me, but if you need to talk to me, then you get me there. YouTube. There's a YouTube channel. And you can listen to the book for free on YouTube. I would
Ooh,
honestly give away all the stories just because I want people to read them. I want them to experience them.
yeah.
That's really the end goal for me, is to have as many people experience these stories as possible. I don't really care about anything else after that. Website, you can contact me there. But yeah, I'm accessible. I'm on the socials.
Beautiful. The book, thank you for saying that you can get this book free on YouTube. Guys, listen to it. It's a rich tapestry of history and fantasy, mythology, and I just love, love, love it. I can't wait to get my hands on all of the books, and just, first of all, have it on my display table. But I like to read for fun, like, um not just to read to learn. I've been doing that for many years for self-development, but I also love to read the Greek mythologies. So it sounds like your book has a diverse blend, and I can't wait to just get my hands on it and just suck up all of the stories and the excitement, and the fantasy stuff.
So I'm glad that you say that, because the interesting thing is the mythology, the Greek, the Roman, there's Norse, there's Japanese, there's all these different things in there, but really the history is just the hook. The
Hmm.
history is what makes you connected to these people. It's the
Hmm.
oh wow, that's the wow factor, right?
Yeah.
It's being told in the modern setting from the start and inception of the clandestine world that our protagonist unknowingly falls into and finds
Mhm.
out that he's the uh, reincarnated descendant of the most famous gladiator in history. All these things play out from the timeline from the decline of the Roman Empire to modern times, and
Mhm.
just that rich tapestry. The history is just the hook. It's the wow factor. But for people who think that fiction or historical fiction or whatever, or fighting or violence is something that they're not into, I
Mhm.
would invite you to read the story for yourself, or at least listen to it for free. I actually have a free book promotion going right now on Kindle. You can download the book for free.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
our protagonist story really is centered around love and his relationship with um, his girlfriend in the beginning of the book, who ends up becoming his wife halfway through. And really, it's his whole being trying to navigate this life that he was pulled into, while wanting to have a life that's really centered around his relationship.
Yes. It's guys, it's rich. It is going to, awaken that part of you that loves to hear about the themes of destiny and sacrifice and the cyclical nature of history. So please get your copy, even if you have to download it for free. But you can support a brother, okay?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can. You can.
Go.
Just contact me on socials. We're giving away books all the time.
Okay, that's beautiful. Now, there are three questions I love to ask all my guests. So before you go, I'd really love to ask you these
Okay.
questions. And one of the question is, or my number one question is, what's one bold promise that you can share with the audience?
This story is nothing like anything that you've ever read before or will ever read before, because I'm not a traditional writer. I don't try to be. I didn't go to school for writing. I was an artist by degree, and I write that from my perspective. So everything that you're going to read in here is going to be essentially like you're watching a movie.
Mm,
So if you're looking for something that's out there, that's not your traditional story, there's no filler, but it's going to be as epic as anything else that you've read that's completely long. Yeah.
beautiful. What's one bold statement that you can share with the audience that will cause a paradigm shift?
So I thought about this one, and I think that um, really the message is that if you're looking to be an author and you think that you have to go through the traditional channels or writing the query letters or finding agents and things like that, um, right now is a beautiful time, because there's so many different avenues that allow you to be your own agent. I personally, being that I've had experience in business, I created my own publishing company. Um, ISBNs, I have all that, copyrights. I do all that stuff myself. So I have everything set up to be a traditional publisher and put the books out myself, and create my own distribution, especially with
That's
social
right.
media. I
Yes.
mentioned earlier, just right now, just with the first two books available, we have over 4,000 followers on Instagram. We have over 1 million impressions, and growing, on socials. And really, if you want your message to be out there, you don't have to wait or feel like you're getting rejected all the time. You have the ability to do that and to create. So I would invite you to really take a chance on yourself if you feel like you believe in yourself enough to do that.
That's a great message. If you want something so bad, take a chance on yourself, because you don't need permission to put your work out there nowadays. We
Nope.
live in an era where you can create your own publishing company like you did and just put your work out there. You don't need somebody to say yes. You don't need anyone to give you permission. If you want your work out there, you have the power to do it. We live in this era that is beautiful, that you don't need permission from people. So go ahead and start your own publishing company. That's just beautiful that,
Yeah.
that we are so empowered in this time.
Yep.
Even though there are a lot of things that we can't control, there are a lot of things that we can. And one of them
Exactly.
is, if you have a message to share, you don't need permission from anyone to put your work out there. Go ahead and
You
do
know,
it.
you don't. And for me, it's more than just putting the story out there. There's an entire brand centered around this. So I have two
Yeah.
clothing lines that are coming out,
Ooh,
centered around this. That I had mentioned, there's at least 30 spin-off avenues for this. And having created the publishing brand, we're going to venture off into different mediums, of storytelling, eventually, possibly bring on branding opportunities for, other folks to come in, to create my own Marvel, to create my own DC universe.
Yes. And I want to be a part of it. I want to
I would love you to be
come
a part
back.
of it. I want
Listen,
everybody to be a part. I love it.
I'm going to be a part of it.
You're
So
amazing.
I'm already planning in my head. I'm like, when am I going to read the books? Because I am invested. Okay. Luke Hart got me. Okay? I love a good love story. So I'm invested. And I am already thinking, okay, so I'm going to Bali in July. I think I'm going to read. That's a long flight. So
you might read it a few times on that flight.
No, I'm getting the whole series. Okay. I'm getting the whole series. So I'm excited for you. Congratulations again. And I have one more question before you go. I know you're one of those people that are constant. I can tell you're constantly thinking of what's next because you're bored easily. So what's a bold move that you'd like to make in the future?
So in the near future, I say my bold statement is going to be that this story and this entire series will be a feature film or feature films in the near future. We're getting ready to shoot a series of short films that we're going to put out to all the film festivals. And really, it's with the intention of the story becoming a feature. It's written that way to easily translate to, the big screen. And, that's my statement. If you want something that you can get behind, that's a long-standing, relationship that you'll have with it, this is definitely it.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming and sharing and just being you, being obedient, listening to that dream or going from that dream and saying, hey, I have something here. And a lot of times when we feel that creative juice or we get that download, a lot of people get afraid of putting it out and doing something and moving forward. And you were like, I'm doing this. Not only am I doing it, I'm doing it big. I'm creating my own publishing company. Big up to you. You are amazing.
Yes, I am trying and I'm putting my best foot forward and I'm allowing people in and just being vulnerable, and it's being received well. So I can't, I gotta be thankful, for that.
And congratulations on the babies.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they're awesome.
Okay. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. And please just tell the audience again, how can they connect with you?
So you can find me on Instagram at The Legacy XII. That's at THE Legacy XII. Or on YouTube, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Legacy Universe. We have a website, legacyuniverse.io. And those are the easiest ways to find me.
You heard it here, guys. Be a part of the tribe. You can't say we don't bring you the best, okay? If you would like to write a book, but you don't know where to start, check out my website, boldpublishings.com, and schedule an appointment with me so you can get your book idea out of your head and onto paper and become the published author that you've been dreaming of and make some money, honey. Thank you, Jay Leonard. I really appreciate you, Mr. Costner. You've brought an inspiring warmth in my soul. I can't wait to get your book. I'm so proud and honored. I feel so honored to be a part of this journey. And I wish you all the best. Please come back again and tell us more about the other.
I'd love to. Anytime that you want me, I'm available to you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a central hub and a safe space for authors to share their stories. Follow Dr. Denise on Facebook and Instagram at Denise Nicholson or go to denisenicholson.com. Remember, no one can share your story better than you.